We should have a song. Ain't that coming on your heart at all? Come on, something now. I'm about to feel something. Come on. It's an amazing thing, right? We can all be one. The word is ahad in Hebrew, right? So I just want to make sure we can all feel that one before I get started today. So the rhythm like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Come on, y'all, say that. 4. Come on. 1. With the 1 now, come on. Come on. Woo! Can you feel it? A little bit harder, come on. 1. Uh-oh. I think we're getting it high, come on. Watch it. Yeah. I like that. Come on. Now say aha. It's Hebrew. Ready? Do it. Oh my goodness gracious. One more time, Zion. Come on. Say. There we go. Aha, come on. Yeah. Aha. I don't know about you. Woo. Come on. Everybody say aha. Yeah. Because that's what we got to be, right? Put your hands together for these musicians. Thank you, man. Thank you. Hallelujah. Aha. You're one. Hero Israel. Yahuwah, your Elohim is how many? Oh, we get on that one. It ain't no telling what's going to come out. Thank you, brother, on the drums, man. Come on, give me my hand. Because we what? Family? That's what family does. We just get in what we fit in. Y'all don't forget to bring your shofars and your trumpets and your stringed instruments, your tambourines, or whatever you want to bring to the Shabbat, because part of what we do and why we do it. Judah needs to praise.
Amen.
And we need to do it on the way. I have a message today. I'm gonna try not to keep you guys long. Is the screen working?
Yep.
Was it full screen?
Yep.
Okay. Tremendous passage, Zion. Is it on? Hula? Is it on?
Yep.
Oh, it's been on. Tremendous passage that I came across years and years ago, almost 30 years ago now. Ran across this passage, saw it, stuck out in my mind. I've heard people speak about it, stuck in my mind, and I've always wanted to share it. And I'm so glad that the Most High helped me see it again after he opened my eyes to the fact that we are the biblical Hebrews, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I know now that he was preserving this message for me to see it through these new eyes. I'm not just looking at it now as the patriarch of somebody else's lineage, but I can now see this text as the story of my great-grandpa and my great-grandpa's daddy, and how we got started. And how ever since Grandpa Abraham got called to follow Yah, from the time he started following until the time he went to sleep, he had good times, bad times, ups, downs, sometimes right, sometimes wrong. Come on, y'all. But yet he believed the Most High Yah, and it was counted to him for righteousness. This passage today is Genesis 26, Bereshit 26. And we're going to actually start at verse 1, but look at verse 18 at this line. Just look at that little line right there. Verse 18, just that first little line to the comma. Would y'all roll with me and let's do it together? Ready, go. And Isaac digged again the wells of water. Let's do it again, everybody. And Isaac digged again the wells of water. He digged again. And Isaac, that's Bible, I'm not making this up. And Isaac, that's your grandpa. That's your grandfather. Digged, it's in the Bible, again. Y'all see it? The wells of water, which, come on, they had digged when?
In the days of Abraham, his father.
Isaac had to redig some wells. He digged again. That might not be great English for some of you all, but that's what it said, digged, D-I-G-G-E-D. He redug, if you want to use that term. He digged again. I'm reading it.
Right.
The wells which they had digged in the days of, come on. His what?
His father.
That's your grandpa, y'all. That's your grandfather. We're reading a story about your grandfather in his sojourn following the Most High during his life, realized that in this land of promise, he needed water. He needed a constant water source in order to support him and his family. And his boy, Isaac, watch this, knew of the wells, I'm saying it already, that his daddy, our grandpa, he knew where the wells were that his grandpa had dug, but something strange had happened. It's right in the text. It says for the, come on.
Philistines.
For the who?
Philistines.
For the Philistines had done something. When?
After the death of Abraham.
It's right in the Bible. wait a minute. When Abraham died, since they were in Philistine territory, which is where we get the word Palestine from, the Palestinians, if you please. When Abraham died, was like, go cover up them wells. Why? Because wells in those days represented ownership or possession. It was a way of sort of saying, I have ownership to this place because I'm homesteading here, because my well is here. So Abraham was great, we know that. He was huge, and he had not only was he a great man, but he had great possessions. So it was necessary for him to build or to dig, if you please, great wells in order to support the family. But when he died, the Philistines were like, how about we cover the wells, thus disinheriting. Missed it, missed it. Right there, I should have heard a whole lot of, yep, you're right. Because once the wells got filled in with dirt, then there was no physical evidence of the ownership of the property. So I want to speak about redigging the wells of life. Redigging the wells of life. One of the last things we hear about Abraham that we might not have known about our grandfather is that as he journeyed through Palestine, the land of the Philistines, that he actually had dug wells. These wells are really holes, just deep, deep holes in the ground that allows water to percolate into, and the water coming down from the mountains throughout the surrounding areas, the foothills in the mountains, these little streams would just sort of fill up over time. They would put water in the wells, and then the people would then go and pull out the water with buckets or whatever and feed the cattle. Well, these were not just small one-family wells. These were huge wells. A man of wealth, a man of much possession, was often known by the amount of water he had to have to supply all of his family and the cattle. So Abraham dug wells because he was wealthy. And these huge wells were a testimony to his wealth, and it was a testimony to his rightful possession of that property. You got me? But then we see in the text, verse 1, that there was a famine in the land. It's in the Bible. The word famine means a lack of food. People were starving. They were hungry, and the reason they were hungry was because no rain was falling. And there was also a famine, those of you who are Bible students, in the time of Abraham. Do y'all remember what happened during the famine in the days of Abraham? What did he do when the famine hit Canaan, or what we know now as the Philistines or Palestine, what did Abraham do when the famine hit?
Went into Egypt.
Man, come on, y'all, talk back to you. They did what? He went to where? He went to Mitzrayim. He was like, man, I'm out of here. I done followed the Most High. He brought me to the land, and I'm in the land of Canaan. I done dug some wells and everything, and he was like, and it's a famine. His first inclination, I'm talking about your grandpa, his first mind was, well, we got to eat. So he goes into Egypt. Remember that story? Please tell me, people from the Ark, you remember that story?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, about to scare me. We're going to have to start all over from Genesis chapter 1. When he gets into Egypt, he tells Pharaoh, he tells his wife, hey, listen, baby, you know you fine as fine can be. She said, quit, boy, you always. No, I'm serious. Girl, man. Woo. And this is what's going to happen. When we get to the land, Pharaoh is going to want you to be a part of his harem. So when he chooses you, then he's going to kill me, which is strange because it tells me that they had this code of ethics that you didn't commit adultery. But they didn't have the code of ethics that say you can't kill a man and then take it. Y'all come on in the room. That would have been no problem. I'm not going to commit adultery, but I will kill you first. Y'all know the story, right? I don't have to retell the whole story. But he ends up going into Egypt, and as a result, just what he said was going to happen, happened. They saw her. She was fine as could be. They was like, get her right now. They didn't even know Mama Sarah was like pushing 60. Yeah. That's that Lena Horne stuff. You know what I'm saying? That Sade stuff you had going like, man. Had all the young fellas in town talking about age ain't nothing but a number. Fine. Sometimes the story goes that eventually what ends up happening is when they leave Egypt with much spoil, he also leaves with a handmaid named Hagar. Come on, huh? And what happened as a result? Remember when Sarah was pregnant with Ishmael? Right, we ended up with Ishmael, and we got a whole lot of issues to this very day. Right?
Right.
When you open up 26, Abraham has passed. Isaac is now on the scene in the land, and another famine. Do y'all see that? Which tells me something, keeper. Life is cyclical. Life has a way of repeating itself from one generation to the next. Now say it like this. You ain't the first one going through something that other folk ain't been through before. And what we normally do is we push the panic button, Zion, when troubles arise. Our great-grandfather Abraham, when the famine hit, was like, let's go to Egypt. But you see what happened when he got to Egypt? I mean, she's going to tell you my sister, you know, because it is half true, right? You know. Came out of Egypt, messed around, let Sarah tell him about the surrogate parent thing that didn't work out. Now Isaac got a half brother. It's a mess, Zion. But in the next generation, the very next, it happens to Isaac. He's in the land, and there's a famine. So his first inclination would be, let me find out what my daddy did. But Yah came to him and said, don't you go to Egypt, boy, I'm telling you. Is it in your Bible, Zion? You know, I love your pops, man. Abraham and I was friends. But, boy, that whole Egypt fiasco was rough. I'm still trying to fix that thing up. Don't go to Egypt. It's in the Bible. Yah appeared to him, Yahuwah. Don't go to Egypt. Stay in the land, which I shall tell thee of. Don't go to Egypt. Stay in the land. I know it looks rough. I know everybody's freaking out. I know there is no rain. I'm the one doing it. But you don't go to Egypt. In other words, watch this. Don't switch powers. Right now you're operating with me as your high power, and there's a trouble, and the first tendency is to switch powers, to attach yourself to some kind of a government that looks more established and stronger, right, than I am. That's when most of us get in trouble. It's when the famine comes and there seems to be an alternate way to get your needs met other than from the Most High Yah. And in this case, it's this government. Man, this government is posing as Israel's Elohim. Most of us, Zion, could take Psalm 23 and replace Yahuwah with the United States government. The federal government is my shepherd. I shall not want. What do you mean? I don't need nothing. I got my food stamps. I got my Medi-Cal. Come on, get a check. The government maketh me to lie down in green patches. Really? Yeah. Government. See my Section 8? I'm dependent on the government. The government lead me beside still waters. Guess what? Most of us are dependent on government water. Literally. We don't own our own well. We don't pull up our own water. When you get down, what happens? There's a government program to restore your soul. The government gives you the path of righteousness. So in other words, you follow what it says. And it's got all kind of stuff in there. And you will obey all of that because you think that this government got the last final say. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Why? Got the government with me. We got the baddest military out here. The rod and the staff comforts me. The government prepares a table before me. I'm eating off the government. Wow. Come on, y'all. And so there is a tendency, Zion, amongst our people to switch our confidence from Yah to the powers that be, the local human powers that be. We got to watch that. Yah said, don't do it. As plain as day. Don't go to Egypt. Stay right here. Very interesting word. When it talks about stay there, it means, literally, shakam means to settle in. Just settle down. Abide. The one word is chill out. Zion, I ain't talked to you about something. We too high strung. We're letting too many things pull us in too many different directions. Some of us need to take a breath. Some of us need to realize something. Yeshua said in verse 3, sojourn in this land. I want you to underline that because I'm going to give you something that's not going to come from that pig meat eating preacher. This coming down from Zion. The word sojourn there means be a stranger where you are. In other words, I know this is the land that I promised you, but right now, live in it as though you're a stranger. Don't try to take over nothing. Don't try to destroy nothing. Don't be trying to march and then change. Man, look, no, no. Sojourn. See, right now, everybody thinks that the powers that be just need to be threatened. And so every time some kind of event happens in the life of the Hebrews, our first reaction, gut reaction, is to go out and march the streets and put your hands up and spit at the tanks and all that. Hey, man, I ain't tell you to do all that. How about you obey me? How about you learn Torah and sit your behind down and realize that this world is not your home? Won't you realize that yes, the meek will inherit the earth, but right now, I'm allowing the Philistines to run things. How about you just realize that in my own time, I'm going to allow you your proper place on the planet. But right now, Isaac, sojourn. Take the posture of a stranger in a strange land. And I can hear him saying, but you gave it to my daddy. You promised. Can you hear him? How dare it? No. Stay here. Watch this. Sojourn. Look at these promises. That's why I said write these down or mark them, because these are all beautiful promises in verse 3. He said, I'll be with thee. Look, man, don't worry about nothing. If I'm with you, I'm more than the world against you. First promise, I'll be with you. Right in the Bible. Some of us having a hard time on this Hebrew walk because we feel like we're walking alone. You sojourning alone. No, you're not alone. He said, I'll be with you. Number 2. He says, and will bless you. Y'all know that word bless. The word barak. It means I will be there to give you what you need when you need it. Y'all, you can't see this famine? I caused the famine. I'm doing this on purpose because I got other things I'm also handling. But I want you to know that even though it's rough, I haven't forgot you. I'll be with you to bless you. Watch this. For unto thee, come on, I need y'all to roll with me. And what?
Unto thy seed.
Unto thy seed. That word, obviously, you know, it means to your children and your children's children. Come on. Will I will.
All these countries.
Wait, huh? He was like, chill out, man, as a stranger. Because all this land that you see and all this area around here, come on, he said, I'm going to do what? This is really your land. So can you be patient and chill and don't be running off to Egypt? I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham. And I'll make your seed multiply as the stars of heaven. Oh, these are all things that he said he's going to do. I was naming them. Oh, let me put numbers back in there. I'll be with thee, number 1. I will bless thee, number 2. For unto thee and unto thy seed will I give these countries, number 3. I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father, number 4. I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. Number 5. I will give thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed, watch this, shall what?
All
Of what?
the nations
Of the earth be blessed. How is it possible, Isaac, for you to die when the promise of the seed that's going to bless the world, it got to come through you? Isaac. Everybody else can panic. You chill. I done chose you for something. And I've chosen your descendants for something. So don't worry about the famine that's going on. You got me. Can you hear this boy? He's a young man now. Can you hear him trying to figure out why? Like, wow, why'd you choose me? What she said? Because that Abraham,
obeyed.
your daddy, who'd have brought this up earlier, obeyed, come back.
My voice.
He said, you know, your daddy, man, we tight. And I'm doing this for you because of the relationship I have with your pops.
Yeah.
See, your dad was special, Isaac. You don't even understand, man. When he was young, I met him and told him to leave home. He was in Ur of the Chaldees, hanging out in Babylon. And I told him to just start walking, and I would give him the land. I'd let him know when he made it to the place. And do you know, without him giving me like 101 questions, he just started walking. Your daddy and me is close. We're so close that I brought him to this land when he first got here and told him to look as far east, west, north, south. I told him everywhere your foot land, I'm going to give it to you. Yeah, me and your daddy was close. Matter of fact, Isaac, he loved me more than you. Because one day I was just going to test him just to see where his loyalty lied. And I asked him to sacrifice you. And you know what he did? Didn't say a word except, boy, get dressed. And I can see Isaac like, yeah, I remember that day. I thought Pops was completely tripping. But you know what I did, right? Right when he was getting ready to plunge that knife in your chest, I stopped him because I reminded him of my promise that through Isaac, the seed would be blessed. That's you, boy. You hear y'all talking to our grandfather? Telling him, man, you don't need Egypt. Man, before you got here, I was working miracles to get you here. And now that you're here, I've been your sustainer. Stay there for a second. It's going to be all right. Now, let me move on because I got to hurry. Watch this. Because Abraham obeyed my voice, that's where I was going with that whole story, kept my charge. In other words, y'all had given him a task to complete. See, there's one thing to say, I'm going to keep the commandments, but don't do nothing. Because are you really keeping the commandments if you just stop doing stuff? Because that's what I hear in most testimonies. Well, you know, I don't eat pork no more. And you know, I don't celebrate Christmas no more. Okay, but what are you doing for the kingdom? What task are you completing? You fall short. If that's the case, if not doing stuff is your badge of honor, then the most righteous and holy people are those in a coma. He kept my charge. He kept my mitzvah. He kept my commandments. Wait a minute, we don't have to keep the laws of Moses. Oh, now you find out something. The pig meat-eating preacher is not going to tell you this, I promise, because he's still eating pig meat. So he can't tell you that the law preceded Moses.
Yes. Right. Yes. Yes.
Because that's his only out, is that we're not under the law of Moses. Okay, then what about the law of Abraham?
Yes. Man.
Because we do know that when they got off the boat, no, let me fix this. Before Moses got on the boat, there was already a distinction between clean meat and unclean. Somebody's stomach just went sideways. I get it. You sick and you like, oh, I know he didn't just say that. Flip in your Bible. You'll be okay. I know this is tough on you. But clean and unclean didn't start in Leviticus chapter 11. Commandments was already given. And Abraham was keeping them, according to the Bible. And my statutes and my law. He obeyed my voice, kept my charge, kept my statutes, and my law. After he was told that, it says, and Isaac, what? He obeyed. He said, I'm not going there. See, I wish I could get people to understand you can keep the commandments of Yah. You don't have to always disobey. I mean, come on, Zion. Every time he says shut up, you got to say something. Every time he tells you to say something, you got to not talk. I mean, every time he says, hey, go, you say, man, I ain't going nowhere. And he says, stay right here. Yeah, I'm going. Is that really you, Zion? No. Your grandfather Isaac heard Yah tell him not to go to Egypt because of the promise. And guess what? He obeyed. It's in the Bible. He stayed in Gerar. And the men of that place did ask him of his wife. Wait a minute. Not just in Egypt, but the place he stayed. The fellas there was like, hey, man, who was that fine people you got there, boy? And he was like, well, she's my sister. Because he was afraid to say she's my wife because he thought the men of the place was going to kill him because Rebecca was fine. Now, Zion, do you understand why we so fine as a people? It's your DNA. You got two grandmamas in a row that took the eyes of a king. Not just the normal. Governments saw our grandmama and said, is we gonna have to kill him or what? Because we want her. Then you wonder why you're so fine and why your fineness is being exploited. Yeah. Don't you understand that the whole world knows that ain't nobody more beautiful than you? That's why they keep trying to make yourself ugly. Man. So that you'll be on the plane of everybody else. We don't have to paint our skin because it's already been painted by our Father. And when he finished it, it was perfect. It was so perfect that our grandfathers was like, baby, we already know. When we go places, we already know. Now, they wasn't right for that, but it's the truth. Because she was fair to look upon, that means she was beautiful. Don't mean she was white. Don't let nobody fool you with that. And I ain't mad at white people. Y'all don't write me no letter talking about, you got a thing against white folk. No, I don't have a thing against no white folk. One, because Hebrews come in every shade. Yeah, for sure. My grandmother was very, 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 very fair. As a matter of fact, my uncle is still in the house right now. He said back in the day, they'd be, playing the dozens. He said when he would be getting them, they would reach down low and say, at least my mama Ain't no white lady. Up is on right now. On and cracking. Gotta start fight. There to go fight. So light skin don't have nothing to do with being Hebrew. Because my grandmother, if you want to use the term black, was the blackest person I ever met. I remember asking her one day, when you was a child, did you take black history in school? She said, baby, I am black history. See what I'm saying? So let's not get into that, Zion. We're not dealing with that. I'm just saying, as a people, we have a beauty, but if you read the Bible, you can see where it comes from. It's in your genes. It's genetic. And it came to pass, when he had been there, talk back, come on, I gotta go faster. Talk back, been there how long? Wait, no, it came to pass when he had been there what? Long time. So he had been there a long time according to the text. This is not the same day. He said it one day, right? But then he was there a long time after that. And Abimelech, who was the king of the Philistines, looked out at a window. Which means that ever since Isaac told that lie, the king was spying on him. Let's see if he tells you. So the whole time, every time, Grandpa wanted to get with Grandmama, you know what I'm saying, they had to go hide. He be trying to hold her hand in public and she said, we can't be doing that. Girl, come on. We got to keep it up, right? Eventually what ends up happening is Grandmama and Grandpa playing around. It's in the Bible. Y'all gonna look at me funny. It's right here. And it says, the king looked out a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was, it's in the Bible, y'all. Come on, talk about it. What? Let's use the King James. King Jimmy is pretty nice. It says he was doing what? Sporting. He was sporting with Rebecca, his wife. They were sporting. He looked at a window and was like, oh, shoot. They're sporting in there. It's in the Bible. I'm not making it up. It's in the Bible. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of a surety you lied. That's your wife. Come on, man. How come you said she's my sister? And Isaac said to him, because I said, lest I die for her. Abimelech said, what has this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might have lightly lain with your wife. Dude, you said it was your sister, it made her fair game. There's some bad Philistines out here. You don't know the boys can talk. You know they're giants. Are you sure Isaac treating you right? Isaac, I'm just saying, hey, you know how it starts? You want to ride home? I see Isaac's little chariot. It's cute. You ever ride on 44s? Man, you tripping. Do you understand what could have happened? Can I move on? He says, somebody could have slept with your wife, and you'd have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, now watch this. Here's the command. He that touched this man or his wife, watch the law, shall be put to death. Who do you think put it in the mind of the king of Philistine, where he was living, not to touch him or his wife under the penalty of death? only the Most High Yah. Why? Because the Most High Yah is preserving his own seed. Did you catch that, Zion? So now Isaac, honestly, does not have to worry about anyone doing anything to him personally. And I had to read that because I went to see what happens. It says, and then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100 times more than he planted. Now he was already rich because he's Abraham's son. So imagine 100-fold means 100 times more. It's a difference between saying, I put in 100 and I got back 200. No, that's a double. This is not 100 plus 100. This is 100 times 100. Whatever he put in, he got 100 times back, which makes him now absolutely stinking rich. This your grandpa. Did I say stinking rich? Did it really go out worldwide? I didn't mean it like that. I mean, wealth beyond. Okay, let me say it like let me say it like the Bible says it. And the man waxed great. He became just absolutely powerful. Isaac had more wealth than Abraham. People talk about the wealth of Isaac, but Isaac had more wealth than Abraham because Yah multiplied it and went forward. That means he continually increased, and his territory was continually increasing. Y'all see that? And grew. So you see it again until he became what?
Very great.
Come on, no. That word says what?
Very great.
The Hebrew word behind that idea goes back to the idea of mist, like in a cloud. And the idea is you can't count the little, you can't count the water drops in mist. So the idea is his wealth was way too much. And it says, for he had possessions of what?
Flocks.
That's sheep. Possessions of
Herds.
that's cattle like oxen and other things like that. And great store of, so he had a lot of people working for him. So not only is he's completely wealthy, but he is really holding up the economy of Philistine right now. Do you get that? His wealth is employing people. It's huge. He has become the man. His business, his farming business, if you want to use that term, is now like supporting the city or the town or the country. And the Philistines did what? It's in the Bible. They envied him. They envied him because it seemed like he had something special going on. And he did. In the midst of famine, in the midst of hard times and troubles and tribulations, Yah was prospering him, and the people around him were just sitting back getting more and more mad. But they couldn't do nothing because Abimelech had said, anybody who touch him or his wife gotta die. So they couldn't touch him. So look what they did. And I did this whole message to get to this point. So look what they did. For all the well which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham, his father, the Philistines had did what? And did what? They couldn't get to him, so they cut off the source of life. Water. They stopped the flow of life. They said, even though we cannot put our hands on him, if we stop up the water source, eventually he and his family will die. They'll starve to death. One of the things that's happening to us, Zion, everybody knows Yah's hand of protection is around us. And they tried everything to stop us. Man, they gave us syphilis and all sorts of other venereal diseases. We still here. They had us strung out on crack. We still here. They shoved all kind of stuff and crazy stuff in our communities. We shooting each other every day in the streets in our major cities, and we still here. They took our jobs from us and made us dependent on whatever. But it's like, man, what is it about it? So they've already discovered something. Getting rid of us like the way any other nation would have been, it ain't working. We gotta cover up the water source. The Bible, the word of Yah, is our living water. It's our source. So in order to get to Isaac and his descendants, what they did was say, we got to get to the water. And if we can stop up the water with earth, then therefore that would cause him to suffer and hopefully die. Now watch this. How crazy this is. They fill it up with earth. What has happened to our people in this nation after slavery is that our water source, which was Yah, has been contaminated with the things that have come from the earth. In other words, people want earthly things over the spiritual water that is given to us through Torah. So we will choose, say, a car over Torah. And that's nothing but metal that comes from the ground. Do you get it? Earthly things, silver and gold, just rocks to Yah. But we will take that over Torah. And the people know it. So what they've done is they've already gone ahead and stopped up the wells, hoping that you would die, because they say his source or her source is that Bible, is that well. Well, here's what they did. They covered up. Well, in the days of Abraham, the Philistines had stopped them and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, go from us. Say, huh? Yeah, because you bigger than us. You mightier than us. You got more power. Whoa, you kicking us out? You heard me. Verse 17. And Isaac, what?
Departed.
No. And Isaac got his boys together and fought Abimelech. Is that what it says?
No.
And Isaac got on Abimelech's face and said, how dare you tell me to leave after da. No, it says he departed. He left. When he was no longer welcome there because of his blessings, the book say he moved. When the situation around him got to the point to where it was threatening his life because of the blessings of Yah, instead of compromising his relationship with Yah, he just moved and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and stayed there. He was like, all right, man, that's just like being in Fresno, right? And be like, all right, man, I'll just move to Clovis then. I'll move to Madera. Dang. Like that? And it says in verse 18, what does it say?
Isaac digged again.
Digged again, come on.
The wells of water.
Which? In the days of Abraham, his father. He knew that Abraham... Oh, I felt something. He knew that Abraham, his daddy, had dug more than one well.
Right.
He was like, man, my father, I remember, wait a minute, hold on. This ain't the only well, man, from Pops, man. Pops dug a couple of wells. In other words, Pops had foresight for his family. So that if the enemy clogged up one, he's like, man, where was that other one at? Oh, okay, it's in Gerar. So Isaac digged again. Well, what he went like, let's see, I was a little boy, but I can remember. Let's see, where did my pops put that well? Like, he's walking in the country, he's like, there it is. He found a little stone and he moved the stone out the way and digged in the days, which his father had digged for the Philistines and stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he called it after his name by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there, count back, of what? In the Bible. When he dug in that well, he found living water. The word springing water means it was water that was flowing. He started digging and actually hit what we would call like a geyser. Is that what it's called?
Right.
He hit a stream. He hit an underground stream of water. In other words, it was Yah showing him that one little well that I had blessed you with is not the only well. And that one place of water is not the only place where water exists.
Yeah. Right.
But you got to look at what your daddy did, Abraham, because he was a friend, and I showed him some things. Watch this. And the herdsman, first of all, springing water was valuable because water represents life. And I'm going to move on with time. And the herdsman of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdsman, saying what?
Water is ours.
That water is ours. Huh? My daddy dug this well. Y'all don't even know it was here. I just got kicked out of the house. We done dug another well. And now y'all claiming the well that my daddy built as yours? So they strove with him. They contended with him. And I want to say something, some of us got issues because we think we're supposed to live in a situation of strife. Oh, yeah, kill it. We think that we're supposed to live in contention. Some of us believe that the only life for the Hebrew is a life of contention. Some of us think we're stuck with contention. Contention's got to be our greatest friend. If we don't have enough contention in our lives, some of us don't believe we're living. We don't feel alive until there's enough stuff going on. But let's see what Grandpa Isaac did. He said, the herdsman of Gerar did strive with Isaac, saying, the water is ours, and he called them with the place is sick because they strove with him. And they digged what?
Another well.
He was like, y'all can have it. Did you see that? Isaac was like, I'm not fighting you over this because my father dug more than one well, and the person giving me the water has water in an unlimited supply. So instead of fighting with you, I wish I was really hearing that, and every day having to deal with you every time I try to go get some water, how about I just let you have this one? I'll go dig me another one. I sure hope I'm helping the 12 tribes and their companions on this Shabbat. I hope somebody is getting some insight and understanding that you can dig another well.
Hallelujah.
Wait a minute. And they strove. And they strove for that also. And he called the name of that Sidna. That word is interpreted hatred. He says, oh, I see now what's going on. This is not just a contention over people who want water. I see now that this is an issue of y'all hate me. So not only do we have to deal with circumstances of contention, but according to the text, some of our problems is we trying to get along around people who honestly hate us. Now, when they talk to us, you don't know that they hate you because they be like, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you. But in reality, they hate you. Now, that word hate, I don't want you to think that it is the English definition. The word for hate there carries this disdain to the point of, I don't want you around. Right. And most of us have already experienced that level of hatred since we've been walking in Torah. Ain't nobody gonna tell you flat out, I hate you. But what they're gonna say is, do you really have to come? I mean, who gonna be there? They do that to me all the time. My family be like, hey man, is your brother coming? I don't know if I'm going there. Oh, I see some hatred here. Somebody said haters always hate. Did he stay there and try to deal?
Nope.
in this situation of hatred? No. Verse 22 says what?
He moved from thence.
He left them too. Those that are contentious, I'm not dealing with no contention every day. I'm trying to live right, trying to take care of the family, trying to eat, trying to go to work every day, and I got to deal with contention. I ain't doing that. The second category, not just contention, is hatred. I'm not dealing with no, are you kidding me? I'm not dealing with that. So, in your life, Zion, even though we walk Torah and Yah opens up wells of water, some of you all think it ain't but one well. So some of you all stuck in some ghettos. In the ghettos of life. I ain't mad at the ghetto, I'm just making a point. And you keep talking about how rough it is and how terrible it is and how bad it is and how you just wish you could get out of there. But then you say, well, why don't you leave? And you say, well, you feel like I ain't got nowhere else to go. Can I say something? If you're struggling, you can struggle anywhere.
Right.
Struggling is struggling.
It is.
Broke is broke. I've been broke in the city. I've been broke in the country. Broke is broke. Broke say no in a high-rise building. Broke say no in a country shack. Well, I can't afford it. Oh, so you can't afford what you're doing now? No, I can't afford this either. Get out there. Because Yah has not called us to live in contention, nor has Yah called us to live with hatred. He's called us to, and this is the last one, and he removed from there and digged, talk back.
Another well.
Is that Bible? That's 3 wells. And I'll tell you, they're huge. And for that, they what?
Strove not.
They let him alone. He moved away, they say around 30 miles. Now walking, that's a long ways. You know, driving is no big deal, but if you walk 30 miles, you don't went a long way. He like, y'all, let's just go. So they went 30 miles away on foot. He, his household, all the cattle, the sheep, everybody, the whole group moved 30 miles away. And it was at that time that they finally found a location that they could dig a well, watch this, where they wouldn't strive. And the Bible says they didn't mess with him. And he called the name Rehoboth. For he said, for now Yah has made room. Can y'all say that? Say Yah,
Yah
have made room.
has made room.
Look at somebody and tell them, Yah,
Yah
has made room.
has made room.
The idea is this. Some of us don't know that Yah has already made room for you. Yah has already placed where you're going. He's already placed the provisions for you when you get there. Some of y'all need to come out of this contention and out of this hatred and out of all this every day and realize that if he can take care of you in the hood, he can take care of you in the country. Now, lest you think for a moment, I'm talking about a flea doctrine. Let me straighten that out worldwide. You don't be jumping on no plane because some pretty boy that's blinking his eyes telling you, you know, you need to leave the country because this is Babylon. Let me tell you something. This whole world is Babylon.
No.
Amen.
She got her tentacles everywhere. It's a satanic system globally. I'm not talking about that. That's not what this text is about. So quit using that text to try to get people to leave the country because you tell them they should leave. This text is about learning how to live peaceably by redigging the wells that have already been dug by our ancestors, rediscovering Torah, putting forth the effort to now live from the living water. When you come to that mindset, watch this, you're going to realize that Yah was waiting for you all the time. When you get to that place, I can hear him say, man, it sure took you long. He said, why? He said, because I had water here. Everything that you needed was right here. Now watch what it says. And he shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba, and Yah appeared to him when?
Same night.
When he got to that place and noticed that it was wide enough for him, he said that Yah came to him by night and said, I am the Elohim of Abraham. You know, I think all his life, can you imagine, you know, like, I wish I could have that relationship with Yah that my dad had. And at this point, Yah's talking to him. It's a beautiful thing. And said, I'm him. I'm the Elohim of Abraham, your father. Don't be afraid. I'm with you. He's really saying the same exact thing he told Abraham. I'm with you to bless you and to multiply your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he built an altar and called upon the name of Yahuwah and pitched his tent there, and Isaac's servant dug a well. Then I'm done with the lesson, but watch this. Then I just want you to see this. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar. Wait, huh? Man, I'm way 30 miles away from you. Why are you showing up now? And Uzath, one of his friends, and Pitcol, the captain of his army. And Isaac said unto them, man, why are you coming out here to me? Seeing you hate me and have sent me away from you. And they said, we saw certainly that Yah was with you. Oh, you knew it was Yah, did you? But you still filled up my well. You knew Yah was with me, but you still had contention. Zion, can I tell y'all something? Your cousins and your uncles and your aunties, your best friends and your ex-pastors and all them people, they know you right. They can see the script. They've studied everything you've told them. The only thing they're worried about now is you praying against them. So they will drive out 30 miles. Get it? 300 miles, 3,000 miles. And say, man, let's get a little covenant between us that you don't hurt me. It's in the Bible. I'm not going to make nothing up. Can I read the King James because y'all think I'm not saying in here? Here we go. We saw certainly that Yah was with thee, and we said, let there be now an oath between us, even between us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee that thou wilt do us no hurt. They're begging him not to hurt them. Ain't that something? And then they said, as we have not touched thee. You see the technicality they're using? Because they really didn't touch him, but they really did fill up them wells with dirt and run them off with contention and hatred. Have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now blessed of Yah. You're the blessed of Yah. He made them a feast and did eat and drink, and they rose up at bedtime in the morning and sware one to another, and Isaac sent them away. Watch this. It says, and they departed from him in peace. That's shalom. He was like, y'all gone. We ain't trying to kill y'all for what you did. Yah is providing for us. We're cool. Leave us alone. And it came to pass, I love this. What does it say? That same day. No, read it again. And it came to pass what? That same day. It came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they had digged. And what they say to him? We have found a well. Said, man, dude, we good. Not only did we get water over here, but man, we just finished digging. We found some more water. We don't need to go to Abimelech. We don't need contention. We don't need strife. We don't need no hatred. We don't need Egypt. All we need to do is know who we are and whose we are. Obey his voice. Quit fighting stupid battles. Quit using energy. Use that energy to dig another well. There's water down there. Them servants came back and was like, Man, we found some more water. Well, that's good news, ain't it? And he called it Sheba. For the name of the city is Beersheba until this very day. Hula said, the well, Beersheba, is still there today, Zion. You can go see your grandpa's well today. On a spiritual note, in my conclusion, Yah will make room. We got to remember the old paths. Let's go redig them old wells. Let's find out the path that they traveled, the faith that they had. Let's read this Torah. Let's get it. Let's realize you cannot exhaust it. Where water flows. How that sign say? I read it and said, life only grows where water flows. We must redig the wells of life, which means digging in Torah and living from the living water. You got to go back and do it all over again. Every head bowed and eyes closed. But Yah bless your people. I pray that this message went out worldwide to encourage Zion that you will have unlimited resources. And when you're not welcome and when there's contention and when there's strife, you haven't called us to just try to take up arms with little rusty 22s and stuff. No, you told us to trust you and that you would be faithful to your promise that you made to our grandfather Abraham. And right now we are living witnesses of your faithfulness. Teach us to dig those wells, to drink from the waters, the living waters. Our King said he's living water. And anybody who's thirsty, all we have to do is come to him and drink. We worship you, O King. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.